Today we're going to work problem E12-18 from page 659 in our textbook. In this problem, we're working for Caleb Video Productions, and they do a couple of transactions related to a note payable and the interest on the note payable. So a lot of this is stuff we already know. We know how to calculate interest. We know how to journalize accounts payable and notes payable. So really, there's really not much new here. All right, but we'll go ahead and look it over anyway. Okay, the first transaction on October 1, purchased equipment costing $80,000 by issuing a 5-year 8% note payable. The note requires annual principal payments of $16,000 plus interest each October 1st. Accrued interest, oh, I'm sorry, that's the next one. All right, so there we go. We put a note on the books, and it wasn't for cash. This one happens to be in exchange for equipment. So we get the, instead of getting the asset cash in, like a lot of notes, we're going to get some equipment. So we'll put down equipment, right? And of course, now we have this liability, note payable. And the amount is $80,000. And that's all we have to worry about right now, right? Put it on the books. And the rest of this comes into play when we actually do something with the interest, which is our next transaction. On December 31st, we accrue interest on the note payable. So on your exam, I'll always tell you how many notes, but in this case, it's October, November, and December, so three months, 8%, and of course, $80,000 is the principal, so we just need to use our interest formula, right? I equals principal times rate times the time, so 80,000 times 8% times, and we said it was 3 months, so 3/12 is equal to 1,600. Okay, so that's what's going to go here. That's the 12/31/18 transaction is 1,600. And so of course we're accruing it, not paying it, right? So it's still interest expense. And in the future, we're going to pay it. So that's interest payable. And we said it was 1,600. Okay, that's cool. Now it's the next year, right? So a year goes by. Remember, this year requires an annual principal payment of $16,000 plus interest. So, two things to remember. We accrued interest already, but 9 more months worth of interest has accrued, right? So we're going to have more interest expense, 9 months worth. We're going to have to pay this interest payable that we just calculated at 1,600, and of course we'll pay 16,000 on the note payable. And of course, when you pay for stuff, you pay for it with cash, so cash will be our debit. So we know we're going to reduce the note payable, right? By, we know 16,000, right? Because they just tell us that's what we pay, so that's how you, right, reduce liabilities, decrease with debits. We know we're going to pay this interest payable now, so, well, that's a liability. Oops, not a note payable, it's interest payable. And it's 1,600. We know we're going to have some interest expense that we're going to have to calculate, right? So on 10/1/19, our principal is still 80,000. Our rate is still 8, but now we've got 9/12, and that's equal to 4,800. Right? I guess I could have just gone 1,600 times 3, but oh well. Right, so interest expense is 4,800, and oops, I ran out of room here. Cash, you add all these up. Add those all up, 16,000 plus 1,600 plus 4,800. So that means we've got to pay cash out of 22,400. Right? Alright, so the cash was 22,400. Alright, I'm going to make this one a little bit lower. Alright, so there you go, that's our payment. And so we'll have to make another payment October 1st, 2020 and 2021. It's for the next 5 years. But on December 31st, we accrue interest on the note payable. Now here's the deal. This time it was 1,600, but it's not the same every time like a bond would be. A bond's always the same interest. That's because you have the same principal. But look, we just paid down $16,000 worth of the principal. Right? So we have to recalculate the principal. All right, so for 12/31, new principal equals old principal minus payment. All right, so we paid 16,000 towards it. So 80,000 minus 16,000 is equal to 64,000. All right, so that's my principal. So now I can take principal times rate times time to get my new interest expense. So 64,000 times 0.08 times, and this is 3/12, right, because it's been since October, right, so October, November, December. 64,000 times 0.08 is equal to 1280. Alright, so for this one, it's just like this. We have interest expense and interest payable. And this time it's 1280. Alright, so every time you make a payment towards the principal goes down, you owe less interest. And that's about all you can do with these notes payable. You can put them on the books, you can accrue interest, you can pay interest. That's about it. Then you can reaccrue it when it's got a lower balance. And that's all you really have to know how to do on these things. Alright, next we'll look at some bonds.